This one prayer is one of the most widely used prayers worldwide, and it's applicable in any circumstance and any situation. It's one that has been with me for a few years now. I've said it over and over and over again, and it's something that helps put your mind back into the right perspective. It helps you to remember what's under your control, and then most importantly, what's not, and what you can do about it, and what you should do about it. Hey, for those who are new, I'm Mike. I've had OCD and anxiety for the past 10 years of my life, and I turn that turmoil into tools, and I share them with you. Now, there's a lot of renditions of this prayer, but this is the one that I particularly use. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage and the wisdom to change the things that I can, and most importantly, the discernment to know the difference. Right? That's a widely used prayer in AA. A lot of addicts going through their 12-step program use this particular prayer, but you don't have to be struggling with addiction to be able to use this prayer in your everyday life. So let's break it down bit by bit. So the first part is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, right? And so often in our life, there are things that we cannot change. You just have to accept. You just need to come to peace with, whatever that looks like for you, right? Maybe it's, you can't control other people. Sometimes you can't control your circumstances, only how you react to your circumstances. Right? You can't control the speed of things. You can't control certain outcomes. So you have to ask God for the serenity, right? The peace, the stillness to accept that, whatever that looks like for you, right? So God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. The next part is the courage and wisdom to change the things that I can. Those are the two virtues that I have added onto that prayer for me in particular, because you not only want the courage to change the things that you can, right? You need to work up the courage to change things into your life. It takes courage to not stay the same, right? It takes courage to change. It takes courage to go after something. It takes courage to just even continue on with life when everything is burdening you and things seem to be crashing down around you. It takes courage, right? Because in pursuing that truth, in pursuing that there's something more, that is something that can help carry you through times where you feel like you can't make it, right? So you need the courage to change things or the courage to keep going. And then you also need wisdom, right? You need wisdom. You need to be able to understand what decisions need to be made in a certain circumstance so you can make the right decisions. And wisdom, I think, is knowledge applied in the correct circumstances, right? I've heard it said is like, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing that it doesn't belong in a fruit salad, right? And so you have to understand it's the proper use of knowledge, right? That is wisdom. For me, that is wisdom. It's the proper use of knowledge. And so you need the wisdom. Okay, what is it that I can change in my life, that I will change in my life, right? And how could I do it in a way that's going to get me to wherever it is that I want to go, overcome this obstacle, just to move forward in my life, to achieve something. So you need to have the courage to do it, and then you need to have the wisdom to know how to do it and to do it into the right way. And that can come through prayer, through reflection, through counsel. Is you have to have the wisdom, the courage and the wisdom to be able to change the things that you are actually able to change. And then the last bit is the discernment to know the difference. And I think this one is probably the most important, is to be able to discern between what can be changed and what cannot. What can be altered, what can be sped up, what can be slowed down, and what cannot, right? And you have to be able to use prayer and reflection to determine, is this something that I can change? Is this something that I can influence? And if it's not, you need the serenity to accept it. And if it is, you ask for the courage and the wisdom to change it. whatever it is. And also realizing that change comes through a series of decisions, that change doesn't often come through one decision, a one-time big decision. It could at times, but it's often a series of small decisions that change can come about. And so you have to ask for the discernment to be able to differentiate between the two, right? The discernment to know the difference. Is this something that I can change? And is this something that I can do something about? And not only the discernment to differentiate between whether or not you can change it or not, but also knowing when it's appropriate to change it. This is something that's also very important, is there might be something in your life that you can change, but you can't change it at the moment. And so that's where also you need to pray for a wise and discerning heart, right? As the Bible says, is because you also need to know when you can change it, right? There might be something in your life you're struggling with that you can do something about, that you will do something about, but you can't do something about it when you're trying to go to bed. You can't do something about it when you're enjoying time with your family. You can't do something about it when you're preoccupied with something else, with work, with a relationship, whatever the case is. Because your mind will constantly be like, okay, we can do something about it. That means we need to do it right now. We need to fix it right now. You need also to be able to discern when is appropriate to be able to spend time on this problem that I'm dealing with, right? And to be able to figure out, is this a good time, right? Is this a helpful time? Is this a useful time at the moment to be able to change whatever it is that I need to change in my life? That's also a question you have to ask yourself. You can pray this right now. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage and wisdom to change the things that I can, and the discernment to know the difference between the two. You don't need to be in a 12-step program or a recovering addict to use this prayer. I fortunately do not know what that's like, and I commend anybody who has been struggling with that, because I truly know how difficult it is to deal with addiction. How do I know that? I might not be addicted to drugs or alcohol per se, but I have OCD, and with OCD, you're addicted to compulsions. It's literally an addiction. So I understand what it's like to some degree on how it is to struggle with that. And for anybody who is going through addiction, I hope that this can add a little extra element to this prayer to help you along in some way, because I understand to some degree how difficult it is dealing with addictions and dealing with being able to try and determine, okay, well, how could I start to break this addiction? How could I start to change, and not knowing where to start and not knowing what you can change and what you can't. And so, my friends, keep this prayer in mind. Whatever it is that you're going through, you keep this prayer in mind and you use it. And you use it to shift your perspective, to shift your mindset, so that you can actually take the steps necessary that you need, right, to get to wherever it is that you want to get to. Because look, life doesn't always give us answers. It doesn't always give us opportunities. It doesn't always give us the right prayer in the right direction. But what it does give us, it gives us these moments, and it gives us these opportunities that we can use to seek virtue and build lighthouses that we can use later on down in life to help us make better decisions. If that's something that interests you, hit that subscribe button. That's what this channel is all about. I post pragmatic, easy to understand videos and prayers and mental health tools that I've used in my life and that I am continually using. I'm not just posting these videos for an audience, I'm also posting them for myself as a reminder to help me to use these own virtues. So if that's something that interests you, hit that subscribe button, and remember, you have to be able to differentiate between what you can change and what you can't. The serenity to accept the things that you cannot change, the courage and the wisdom that you need to make the proper steps, that you need to embolden you to take the proper steps to change the things that you can, and the discernment to know the difference, right? God bless, my friends. I'm rooting for you.